And I'm just going to, so I need to, and I'm just going to, there we go. So, Morgan, are you there? There you are.
Yes.
Marvelous. Welcome. Good morning. Good evening.
Right, how are you?
I'm good. I pressed the record button, so we're up and running from the start.
Start for us. That's a very good start for us.
It is. It is. So we were commenting, we were chatting earlier and saying how quickly things are moving. How are you finding that?
Oh gosh.
I love
Bipolar.
what, I love what, I love what you said about, it was one thing a week and then it was one thing a day, and now it's like,
Yeah. In back in, up until March, we were visiting, say, one human condition, one collective program a month. When March hit, it turned into three a month. And for me, when October 8 hit, it's like three things a week. And now I'm at like one thing a day. Although I can see how they're all interrelated, but gosh, I'm next week. I just said to you, next week I might set the alarm. Go to bed on Monday and set the alarm for Friday to just have a break.
and do it all in
I'm waiting for
the
you to do it while I'm asleep. Yeah,
and I
it's
don't.
a lot, but it's so exciting. And at the same time, you're still spending the majority of your time in this really peaceful, knowing, balanced, very grounded state as well.
Yeah, or it's easy to access that. I'm not always there. I live in a town and I get caught up in interaction quite a lot. Lovely interaction, but it's very, very easy to drop back into the state, into that place. And I don't clock things in the way you do. You, like you were saying, you filled up. Have you got your notebook there in front?
Yeah,
How many of
three.
those have you
Yeah,
filled?
or like in the last 6 weeks or something, they're 300 pages. It's like anytime something comes in, I write it, because it comes into your mind, it's hard to retain it. So I can start seeing themes and then see, I know what this is, or
Yeah.
something like that. It's handy, just even if it's just a note. I feel, oh, I'm feeling something about, or that was energy leakage, or that was non-presence, or something like that. And once I start seeing it a few times, then I know what I'm dealing with, the program that I'm getting ready to collapse and recode in
And that, I
myself.
think, and we talked a bit about writing and the power of writing, I think last time, didn't we? Or sometime anyway. But it really does make a difference. And I don't write as much as you do. And it's a real sort of encouragement for me to get on that because this morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever, I was awake. Have you got a bit of feedback on? I'm just hearing a little bit of feedback. Anyway, I was awake at 6 o'clock, and there was an awful lot happening in my field and in my body. And I work with that, and I clock it, and it's amazing, and a lot happens very, very quickly. And I'm watching it and a part of it, and thinking, oh my God, what used to take a week to move through is now moving through in seconds. It feels like we are so much more aligned and on stream, as it were, that things are just happening so much more quickly. And what I'm aware of is as our fields clear individually and collectively, that speeds up the process massively because it's the amount of debris and conditioning and patterning we've had in our field that has made it really slow. And now a lot of that has gone. So things are, and we are being rescripted and upgraded and reformatted very, very quickly. And it's really, really exciting. So, but I don't make the effort then to put what I'm experiencing into writing, not as often as you do. And I'm aware that often what I'm experiencing, and I think this is true for all of us, it's not just you and I that are experiencing, everybody is experiencing this, but becoming conscious of it really makes a difference because then I'm not just going mad. It's no wonder I'm feeling a little bit destabilized and need to have a nap in the afternoon. I have just moved 3 mountains worth of old dead energy out of my system this morning before breakfast, and it's no wonder I need a bit of a break. So
oh my God, I know. There was one day early last week where I actually laid down at 3:30 in the afternoon for a nap and woke up at 3:30 in the morning. And then 2 days later, I laid down at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, woke up at 11:30 at night. But yeah, exactly that same reason. But I think that what's going on, by writing it down and we're training our brains to become more aware and more conscious, but we're also moving into getting clarity around these. There's 2 voices there now, and they are so distinct. There are 2 voices. So I've actually had an experience today. Well, it's not for the first time. I had one last week where by the end of the week, I saw what I did on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday was all interrelated. And by Sunday, I got awareness at seeing how it was all my own creation. I did the same thing today, but it happened in an hour. So I was in there, my 3D self was having an experience or an internal reaction. I've got all these thoughts going on. And at the same time, this higher voice was watching me. So I was getting to watch, behind the scenes and the movie at the same time. And I was able to shift myself in the middle of the experience.
I
And
get
choose that higher timeline. Even though, by observing myself in the lower one, I was able to flip over into the higher one.
And for me, that's showing up, well, slightly different. It's the same thing, I think, because I'm experiencing the personality field, the personality of David, but I'm constantly held in this bigger field. And it's like the encouragement is to hold as much of my awareness in that bigger field and be the one that's doing the holding of the personality, because if the personality feels held, he doesn't get anxious, he doesn't get lost, he doesn't start to eat rubbish, he doesn't start, it's a much, and I start to make decisions from a wiser, clearer, vaster perspective rather than get my immediate gratification now and making decisions based on the small personality self. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think we're all in this place where it becomes possible, and we're learning to bridge that gap. We're learning to break down the divisions within us, which are separation, aren't they? So that we're no longer separate from our higher self, our greater self, our soul, whatever it is you want to call it. It all becomes a seamless, integrated whole. And the personality gets to know that it isn't going to be eradicated, it isn't going to be destroyed, that it's coming along for the ride. Maybe not all of it, but it is part of this process. Because I think for me, that's always been a key part of my resistance, is the belief of the ego that it's going to die and be completely dissolved or dismantled. And it's not. It's an important part of the process.
And at the same time, it is dying. I mean, the discomfort that's felt just before you break through something, sometimes you feel like, oh, I've had enough, just get me the hell out of here. That is that aspect, knowing it's about to die.
Yeah.
So, the whole thing is fascinating. It's the wounded ego and this new multi-dimensional aspect that's actually playing out, because really, it's all happened. What we're doing now is we're cleaning up the dregs, which feels very much like all the root chakra issues, and maybe some sacral chakra, and not maybe, definitely sacral chakra stuff, because we're being encouraged to amp up our own sexual power for ourselves. We were talking in the group last night about, we did an activation that merged our own genitals. Not yours and mine. Our light bodies, genitals of the yoni and the lingam, merging them so we could create our own, I don't know what it's called, I know you do, but our own circular motion within, rather than trying to access through another person, to activate our own heriogamic sexual power. Now, I was told that once we've got faith and we know how to use that and we're in full presence, then we start creating things. And I've had some really exciting things just this week, playing with it.
And this, what a lot of people will recognize what you're talking about, this circuit of energy, is it's in some traditions it's called the microcosmic orbit, and it's quite a well-known thing. It's an ancient practice, I think, but you've stumbled across it. You've come across it from your own work, haven't you?
Yeah.
And
Yes, but I didn't know what it was. And I'm so happy. You know, I write a lot of posts, and I'm so happy when I put them up. And there's people that have already done this that are able to tell me what I've achieved or what I've done. You know, there's some people that, oh, I've been experiencing that as well. But I love that there's people like Jacob Slater. There's people that have already done this, and they're able to explain to me what I've done.
but everybody has a little piece of the puzzle, so we're all bringing something, a different facet, a different viewpoint, a different range of experience, and it's quite magical that we're that we're all, you know, there are places like Facebook, and it's, you know, God knows it's not perfect, but it is still an amazing space for sharing this sort of stuff, and YouTube and all of these other places. So it is great. I want to go back to what you're talking about, the starting to create, because I was on yesterday's group, and earlier in the week, okay, I had just been, now I have not been sexually active for a long time, years, and that's a choice. And there's been a huge amount of wounding and stuff coming, you know, I was sexually addicted, and so my sexual energy was a terrible mess, to be honest, and it ran my life. And so I've needed a long break just to allow all of that programming to die and to fall apart, and for something else to start to be born. And I was like, maybe it won't, you know, maybe this is my life, and that's okay. I felt very content. Earlier in the week, or maybe last week, I was looking at my second chakra, and it looked like a seed husk, a dried seed husk. And as I touched it, and I thought, well, that's a little bit sad, isn't it? As I touched it, it was like a seed husk you see in the winter, and it rattled. And I knew there were lots and lots of seeds there on the inside. So I thought, okay, that's a symbol of fertility, in a sense. Yesterday, just a few days later, doing this piece with you, my second chakra, when I came to it, I was walking through a field of golden corn as a woman dressed in a beautiful red dress. It was a warm summer's evening, and my hand was running over the tops of the corn that was all in full seed. So I was really struck by how quickly things shift in us, through our attention, but also the energies that we're engaging with. But our attention is quite key in this, and the decisions, if we can hold something loosely and not fix it in a wounded state, a hopeless state, but allow it to be always in motion, then things can move very, very quickly. This morning, I woke up early, and I was just paying attention, and my whole pelvis felt like a
Firecracker.
well, like a volcano. That was how it was feeling. That was what I was feeling. And it was like, oh my God, it's all shifting and changing very, very quickly. And this feels different. It isn't like I feel horny and I've got to do something about that. It's not that. That's how it would have been 20 years ago, you know. It's not that, but the energy is very present. And it feels very creative. I always think I was always afraid of the creative power of sexual energy, so I had to spill it out at that level before, through sex, either with myself or with somebody else. Now, I'm content to allow the energy to tell me what it wants to do, and how it wants to be expressed. And I think that's part of learning to create from a very different perspective. And maybe we're all in that place now. It seems to tie in with something else I'm experiencing about this golden timeline and our relationship with the physical substance of gold, and money, and that gold is available to us on the inside. And I have a feeling we talked a little bit about this just before, that our whole relationship with money is about to shift quite dramatically, probably over the next 6 months. A fox has just walked past, a lovely golden fox has just walked past the window. So I really think our relationship with money and abundance, instead of being an externally focused thing that keeps us in fear of there's not going to be enough, we're going to learn that it's an internally focused thing, and we learn to manifest in a totally different way. I think we used to know how to manifest properly, and I think we're coming back to that now. And it is very much about what we term sexual energy, but it is the power of Kundalini and the Earth's energy. We have to use the Earth's energy for manifestation, flowed through our clarity and purity and heart's intent, and in alignment with our soul, with our purpose, with our higher self. And so I think we're in a place where this is where we're available to it once more, if that
absolutely
makes sense.
but absolutely 100% with you. The experience that I had the other day when this activation happened was like a womb activation. I went down into the planet, it set up seat of the soul, and then this microcosmic orbit within happened. Now, couples have always come together in order to try to get that. I've always said, men have spent their lives trying to get into the pussy, women have spent their lives trying to get into the heart, and somehow through sexual interaction, we were trying to set that up. And sometimes it worked until all the shadow stuff came in. The activation I had the other day, first time ever, was Heliosgamos. Heliosgamos is when the two light bodies are making love, and both people feel everything, and they're very, very good at that sort of stuff. The one that I had the other day was wholly and solely me. I had this full-blown Heliosgamos activation within. So there was no other person to look at. It was just me there by myself. And they explained to me when the masculine and feminine came together, they merged at the heart. Now, this merging is merging at the sacral through the genitals. When that happens, it sets up an activation of the lock and the key. So they said, this is your creative power. Now, you can't have any doubt. You've got to have full trust. So we need you to align with faith when that's there. And then when you're in full presence with yourself, and like I said, I've had extraordinary experience. I'm seeing a dentist at the moment. I've got a couple of implants, a few implants to get. And he is a monster. I told you, he's been an absolute arsehole. He promised
Hope
to
you're
put
not
me out.
watching this.
I hope he is, and he'll get a lesson. But anyway, he's been an absolute monster. He promised that I would have full general anaesthetic and didn't do it to me. So I had to be fully awake. And I've been terrified of the dentist my whole life. I haven't been for 22 years. And I've been really concerned about all this work. So in that, I did a practice run. I did a practice run of aligning my dentist with being the best dentist in the world, and treating me with absolute respect and reverence and regard, and informing me what's happening and giving me a general anaesthetic next time I go in a couple of weeks. And anyway, 2 nights later, not last night, night before, 7 o'clock, my phone rings and it's my dentist. First time ever wants to ring up and say, how are you feeling about next week? Do you want the general anaesthetic? How will we do this? Are you happy, to really discuss the whole thing with me and fix another problem that I was having? It was like, that was 24 hours after I did it, using that process. My activated light body merged genitals, which is the lock and the key. Being in faith and fully present, I just had the thought, and then it dropped away because the excitement of the faith of that whole energy was bigger. 24 hours later, he rang. So that's just one example. So we are absolutely remembering how to do this. And then this lets me know we should do a session on money, because the only thing blocking the flow is money, is our attachment to it. So what if we took money up into that faith frequency.
Yeah.
With
Because I think
presence.
we have
Power
been
of that
so manipulated around money and wealth, and so now we're caught in this thing where the whole world is looking at the billionaires, half hungering after that lifestyle, the lifestyle of the Kardashians and whatever nonsense, and everybody aware that a huge amount of money is being sucked up out of the level of regular working people up into these people that into the hands of the very few who really don't need any more than they already have. And it's quite a ridiculous setup, and it's totally unsustainable. So as more and more of us recognize this and realize this, it is often the pressure that the collective is under that creates a real urgency for change, I think. And so the rescripting and the emergence of a totally new relationship with work and with wealth and with then the symbols of that, like money. And money is only a symbol, but we've made it a complete god on this planet. And it's a symbol of flow and inner abundance. And as we're opening to these flows and allowing them and feeling them, then the external world has to fall into line with what we're experiencing. And this is very much manifestation and how we create our reality. And that word, you create your own reality, has been bandied around for 30, 40 years. It's only now that we're starting to be mature enough energetically, I think, to really get into that place where we are consciously creating our reality as a collective. Individuals, we've always done it, and I've had amazing experiences of manifestation. I'm sure everybody has, but it's not just about getting the things we want. It's about creating the world that we want to be living in. And we move beyond the selfish, I want the house, the car, the job, the boyfriend, not the selfish, but the limited viewpoint of that, into what is the world we want to be living on. And so I think certainly it's up for me, and I've been aware for a long time that I'm going to need to do something about money at some point. And now it's becoming, it's right there on the table. So so over the next couple of weeks or months, I think it's going to be very present for everybody.
I think so. I mean, it has to be. You wouldn't be given these tools and this understanding if we weren't moving towards that.
Yeah. And it's not, it's like uncoupling worth and value from the symbol of money, in a sense. So having a totally different relationship with that symbol that is money. And part of it, I had to go, as I was writing, I wrote a piece, and it's on Facebook there somewhere. I just posted it yesterday. But I had some experiences around recognizing, like with gold, the substance of gold. There was a pirate's past life where I had hungered for gold and killed for gold and hunted, down ships, and really been a nasty old bastard, and died because of my hunger for gold, But the gold was the most important thing to me. And then I was a priest in another life in the court of Nefertiti, where I betrayed secrets of the court, sold the location of tombs to grave robbers in exchange for gold, and I was cursed and killed and whatever. As each of these things came to light in my awareness, and this is a while ago, my relationship with money shifted. And it wasn't that all of a sudden there was a lot more. It was just that there was more ease in my life. Right? There was less tension in my field, and so there was more flow. And that's what it is. It's about flow. So where we have guilts or shames about our relationship with worth, with money, where we might have betrayed ourselves or others, those have to be unlocked in order to allow the flow to happen. And I think everybody is probably in process with this now, in a sense. And every time now that I'm feeling a little bit anxious about the flow of money and finance and abundance in my life, I'm told, oh, just come into this golden stream, drop in this golden flow deep on the inside and rest there, and take that into the place where I feel the anxiety, the fear, and immediately it dissolves. And so there's a real choice that we have to be in the fear, which is being amplified at the moment, or to be in that place of trust and faith, which is, again, for me, a place of flow, of golden flow on the inside. And if you were to say, I mean, you had this location of faith up here. Is that where you're experiencing it as a dimension that you go to, or?
I think what it is, because I'm coming in and out of it, my human just feels like it's just here.
Uh-huh.
Because I am coming in and out of it. You know, as soon as I'm out of it, I know I've got to try to get back to this place of flow, as a faith. How do I do that? And today, how it happened for me was I had to remember that, bring myself back into awareness of my own masculine, feminine merged as one. My masculine has my back. My feminine is there with her emotions or whatever. But that's how I'm realigning with this faith feeling. But I think I'm explaining it sort of up here because I know I'm not 100% aligned with it yet.
Okay. I get, because for me, this place of golden flow, this central column of light, is a place where the male and female or the masculine and feminine are merged. I think if they've become one in this golden column of light, and that's the place of trust, I think, for me. This brings to mind something I experienced years ago, when I had cancer. I had liver cancer, an HIV-related liver cancer, in 2001, 2002. And I was very, very ill. I was dying. And the doctors had said to me, there's nothing more we can do now. You've probably got months to live. The oncologist said that. And then my HIV specialist, the next day I said, you saw him? And he said, well, yeah, basically that's sort of how it is. The drugs we're using, the chemotherapy isn't working. And I knew, well, I had another thing. I was talking to a friend about this experience and saying, well, this is what the doctors are saying. And as I was talking to her, I had a voice just here saying, anything is possible. Anything is possible. And I was focused on telling the story. So I was pushing that away, that voice, a bit caught up in the drama of my story. We turned on the television after I'd finished telling my story. And there was, it was the first series of Pop Idol in this country. And the announcer was saying, and here's Will Young with his new single, Anything is Possible. And I thought, okay. Didn't like the song, so we turned over the channel, and it was the Winter Olympics. And the announcer was saying, and in the men's slalom, anything is possible. And so I thought, oh, okay, I really need to pay attention to this phrase, anything is possible. And as I was walking up the stairs to bed, I was staying at my friend's place, I was held in this golden field of anything is possible. Now, it went on to be that there were lots of things happened, and I had to make a choice about living and dying and all the rest of it. But that field of anything is possible stopped me collapsing into the certainty that the doctors had given me that I was going to die. And it's this possibility of holding open the field so that we are open to the whole universe of possibilities rather than collapsing into a certainty of, oh, this is how it's going to be. Because as soon as we do that with our mind, then our body has to follow suit. But if we could stay whole open to the unlimited universe of possibilities, then anything is possible. And it was an extraordinary teaching about faith, I think, and just holding open, because every time I started to plan my funeral or something, that voice would pipe up again, anything is possible, anything is possible. And so I was being taught, in a sense, to hold open the field of possibilities. And I think it's important for us to do the same now, in a sense, hold open the field for the highest set of possibilities for ourselves as individuals, but also for the planet, because anything is possible, even when your back's against the wall and it seems like the end is nigh. Anything is possible. Miracles can and will happen. So,
David, do you know how you healed that or how it was healed? Was it
it
just
was
remaining open to
no,
possible
but
or
it became a point a little while later, maybe a month or two later, and where I was asked by my guides, okay, do you want to live or die? Make your mind up, because you've been living your whole life as if you wanted to die. You're about to get that choice met. Is that really what you want? And it was shown to me that if I chose to die, that was totally fine, that I would be welcomed back home with open arms, and it really didn't matter. I was told it doesn't matter whether you're in a body or out of a body, because you'll be doing the same work anyway. So make your mind up. And it was like being given total responsibility for my life, which I had never wanted and always tried to avoid. It was like it was a real shock, you know. Oh, it's like, and so I just, after hours of meditation on a cold, windy day up at a PowerPoint on Hampstead Heath, I said, okay, I live. Will you help me? And I opened my eyes, and one little white feather circled and landed at my feet. And it shouldn't have done that, because the wind was blowing at 20 miles an hour and it should have gone on the wind, but it landed right at my feet. And so the cancer was gone a month later. The next scan I had, there was no cancer. From being told, oh, you're going to die in a couple of months, the cancer was gone. And it wasn't that I did anything other than change my mind. And I think up until that point, I had been living with a mindset of, I don't want to be here. So I was directing more life force out of my body than it needed to maintain health and balance. And I was living accordingly. And when I changed my mind, that the balance of that shifted. So more life force was staying in my body rather than flowing out. And I think that balance shifted, and so cleared the cancer. And it was a liver cancer. I was being asked, will you be the liver of your life? You know, it was that sort of symbolism. So it was very neat. And it was the experience I needed to bring me into focus from a very destructive life that I was living, and very angry, and you know, and that was a beautiful turning point. So it was lovely. The whole experience was very, very beautiful in a weird way. And it was organized in a way that I couldn't for one second be a victim of the experience, because the way it was organized was that I had invited some experience to make a big shift in my life. And the experience happened to be cancer, and I couldn't move into victim around it, because I knew that this was possibly exactly what I needed to change my life. Where have you gone? There you are. So, and I think we all have those sorts of experiences that are real sort of potential car crash moments, where you get to make a really stark choice about, okay, that's not the timeline I want. It's this timeline, you know. So it was
statement that was, because I mean, really, why do we just get to make choices in those, you know, in those huge moments about life or death or whatever? Why can't we do the same, making choices about abundance or our teeth or something else? I think we've got a lot more choices than we realize, and we're being invited to actually go out and play in dimension and have a say.
Yeah,
Actually have a say. I'm doing on Sunday a re-scripting thing. I'm really enjoying this whole re-scripting thing, where you become one with your highest possible dimension, look back down on your life, see it for what it was, fix everything, you know, bring everything to neutral, and then like overlay like new memories, almost like overlaying new memories. So the negative things aren't there to replay, to keep making in the future. Does that make sense?
totally. And I've done it with you, and I've done it on my own, and it is I remember years ago being at a workshop where we were doing this, and I was, in my mind, I thought, this is not really possible. You can't change your past. It's bullshit. And so I don't think it would work for me, because I was in that place of cynicism and not faith, not trusting at all. Now I am much more energetically aware, and things are moving so much more quickly. And because millions of us have cleared an awful lot of debris from our fields, all of these things become much, much more possible, I think, as we become, well, as our vibration
Conscious. Yeah.
increases. And we become conscious co-creators. And as our vibration of our field increases, we realize just how profound is our energetic reality and our energetic capacity to shift and change and reprogram everything. I mean, it is amazing. And all it's doing, if everything is energy, we're just going back to a particular field of energy and tinkering around to make it what we want, so that everything that flows from that field of energy is then colored by that, rather than the grief and the grimness that our childhood may have been, or whatever experience it was, you know. So it is beautiful. And I think the thing with that thing of cancer, all of my choices had been aligned with death, really. I was, not with life. And so I was about to get the result of those choices, not all of them, but most of them. And in effect, we can look at every single choice we make is either a choice that is pro-life, bringing more energy, more flow into our lives, or a choice for death, in a sense, a choice that diminishes that. I can't be bothered to take the dog for a walk. I'll sit on a sofa and watch shit on television and open a packet of biscuits, or say, that sort of thing. There are consequences to those decisions that, if you make those decisions over years on a daily basis, you end up £100 heavier and you can't get off the sofa. And you're addicted to sugar, and it's like, so all of those little choices, we're being encouraged to really become aware of the little choices now that have major results, because those little choices can leave you're going in one direction, or this direction. It seems like a tiny choice here, but 2 years down the road, it's taken you all the way over here. So it is the accountability and the level of, I remember that thing years ago of reading, you are 100% responsible for every single thing that happens to you, and really balking at that, thinking, no, that's not true. I'd say maybe 80%, but not all. But then you recognize, actually, no, you step into full responsibility, and you can't have full power, full authority, full capacity to manifest until you do. And I think, again, more and more of us are making those decisions that take us into full responsibility, because it can't land, can it? It can't land for you until you've said, yeah, okay, I'll claim it all. I'll take full responsibility.
We have to, and actually do the work, rescript however we do it, neutralize all of the energy that we've ever created, shifting everything, from a lower vibration to a higher vibration. It will change our memory, so there it's not playing and recreating for the future. We are so much more powerful than we realize, and I think we're actually starting to understand that now.
Yeah, and it's very exciting. Years ago, I was shown this thing of being in the cockpit of a spaceship, and I was just being handed the operating manual of this spaceship. And as I was sitting there, the lights were starting to come on, and it was starting to wake up. And I realized that was us. It's like we're sitting in this extraordinary vehicle, this extraordinary piece of technology that the body is, the energy field that consciousness is. We've never really known, or perhaps we did thousands of years ago, but we've forgotten how to operate it. So we've been operating it at, a minute capacity of its potential, really dumbed down and stupid. And now all of the debris and the nonsense in the wiring is falling away, and the lights are coming on, and we've got the handbook, and we're starting to get really excited about, oh my God, I could fly to Venus on, there's nothing that isn't possible, And
Yeah.
it's I do think it's a really exciting time. Very exciting. And it's easy. It's that flip point, isn't it? It's easy to look out into the world and think, oh, Jesus Christ, it's all going to shit. Or look inwards and into other dimensions and see, wow, everything is coming alive in a way that makes it very, very available to us.
Yep, exciting times indeed. I've been trying to scan here to see if there's any questions. I haven't seen anything yet.
Was anybody? I'd forgotten that. I've forgotten that we're talking. Forgotten about that. I was thinking it was just a conversation with you and I.
Yeah, like ask some questions if we don't know, somebody else will. So I'm trying to sort of keep an eye on it. But I haven't seen any. There's lots of lovely comments.
I didn't write anything down that I wanted to talk about today, particularly. So, but it's flowed. So, how is your week looking then? What have you got planned? Anything in particular? No, Sunday. What is Sunday then?
This re-scripting has been so powerful for me. I mean, I've done it 2 or 3 times. It's like finding a program or a pattern. I haven't done it around money yet, but finding a program or a pattern or something that's been there for my whole life, going up, having a look, cleaning it up as I'm having a look at it, returning everything to love. And within 24 to 48 hours, recognizing like ginormous changes in myself. We've been doing it in the groups, which has been really successful. So I'm putting an extra one on Sunday.
And is this will be open to anybody then?
Yes, it will. Now, when I say Sunday, it's going to be Monday morning for me, Sunday evening for UK, and Sunday afternoon for USA. But yeah, anyone that wants to come to that can do that.
So we'll put a link to that underneath this conversation then, so that people can access that if they want. Yeah, I didn't know you were doing that this Sunday.
Yeah, I'm so excited with the power of it and the possibility of it, and what we're really, I mean, I know that we all know what we're capable of, but when you start going in there and really playing with this stuff, it's mind-blowing. I remember doing a course many years ago now, and I hadn't been to school for about 300 years, so I had no idea how to do assignments. But I did this course, and at the end of every term, I had to what? I had to do an assignment, like a 2,000-word assignment. And I had no idea how to do assignments, and I just froze. So I missed the first term and just kept making excuses like I did in school. And it came to the second term. I'm like, I've got to do something. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So I said to my higher self, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do this. What do I do? My higher self said, close your eyes, ignite up all those golden particles and create them in dimension. So I did. I saw these golden particles and they went out over here to my right and created like a 8-page assignment. I'm like, okay, that's good. Thanks. Where is it? It's going to manifest in front of me. I woke up the next morning, got my son ready for school, sent him off to school, and I sat there and I typed non-stop for about 4 hours and put the assignment in. Like, it was all just there. It was all there. And so I use that for every term after, like for every module after that. And I got credits and distinctions for everything. In fact, I got so good at it. I got so good at it, David, that in the end, I started putting the assignments in on the day of the last. Like my assignment was done before I even did the course. No exaggeration. My assignment would be done. I'd go and do, the 4 or 5 day thing. And on, that Sunday night, I would present it. Like I would just, I can't think of the words. I suck at tech. I had to put it in online, but I could do that. I could have done it on the first night actually because it was already done. But I used that, and we can do things like this.
And do you still do that then in terms of creating out here something that you're working with, or a piece that you're writing, or something like that? I mean, you've written 2 books on your website. Did you do those out, in that way?
No, no, I don't think I've used it anywhere near enough. I certainly used it like with Todd, like with Sology and things like that. Anything we needed for Sology, through Helios Scamos, all that golden particles were built and we'd send it to wherever we wanted it. But yeah, I sort of forgot to do it, really. Yeah, no, I don't know. But we should be playing more with our imaginations, with the energy, with understanding that we can direct the energy, we can play with it, we can build from. In the circles, we built a healing chamber. We called it a balancing room because there's lots of different places in there. We got everyone in the circle with filaments of light and sacred geometry to build these balancing centres. And then I think we joined the UK Wednesday group and Saturday group. I've used that so many times, a lot of people in the group too. And occasionally we'll all go in there and everyone goes into whatever rooms that they need. I mean, all this stuff is real. Stuff is more real than the bullshit that we do every day.
Yeah.
Sitting on the couch eating biscuits.
It is. It really is. And this time last year, I was heading to Budapest to go hang out. Budapest is a city famed for its thermal springs and stuff, and so I thought, I'm going to go off and sit in hot springs. I love that, and there are lots of them there in Budapest, in beautiful old bathhouses where the whole community gets together. There were big fat old men playing chess, sitting in a hot pool of water. It was just lovely. It was really nice. And then saunas and anyway, I went up on the plane on the way there. There was this huge golden field of light up here, and I was told, okay, just play with this, just pay attention to this. The next morning, when I woke up in my hotel, it had become the sun disk, the golden sun disk that we know, and it dropped from here into my heart. And then I was told, play with this in the water. And it was like, okay, just really feel the radiance and channel it through your hands. And I was told, this is a tool of manifestation. It's an ancient tool. Many, many cultures have used it, and it's coming back online now. And so I have played with it only a little bit, but with water in particular. And and it sounds silly, and I always think, I'm probably making this up. But when I hold a glass of water, and I'm sure many people have done this sort of thing, and channel it full of energy, using that symbol of the sun disk in the heart, which is just a pure piece of sunlight, in effect. It's a personal piece of the sun, I think. That's what it is. It's a personalized aspect of the sun that comes to us to help us manifest golden light again. We always seem to be here with a golden light. But when I do that, literally, I'm not looking at it under a microscope, but the water tastes different. You can feel it. And that's just a simple thing. And I'm sure that water is full of prana and life force that would be extraordinarily vitalizing and health giving for us, and you can give that to plants, to animals, whatever. But as you were speaking about, playing with these things, I just thought, God, I put that to one side and I haven't focused on it. And here, given this is probably an extraordinarily powerful tool once you get to work with it. So you're doing that on Sunday, and I think this Sunday I'm going to run a teleconference, starting to look at money. And I think it's a big issue, this, because it's a huge planetary issue. So it'll probably be a few things, but it's starting to uncouple our fears and anxieties from because money is just a symbol of the flow that we all want, and we've made it we've given it all, and it's one of those things that we give power to, isn't it? Money, isn't it? It has power over us in a sense.
Yeah, so
Everybody-
all we have to do is eliminate it, neutralize it, so it's not even in our thoughts at all. Oh, I don't have it, I'm not getting enough, or anything like that. If that doesn't even exist in our field and we've aligned with faith, then that helps activate the flow. That's how I'm experiencing it starting to work.
Or, I mean, the way I'm experiencing it is that you can just drop straight into the flow that is already present in your system and take that flow into any of the places you can feel in your body where there's a, oh, I haven't got enough, or oh, I can't do that, or that will never work out. You know, those sorts of voices that we always have when we think, oh, I should try doing something a bit more expansive or different. And then a whole host of voices chime in to say all the reasons why you shouldn't, why you stay on the sofa and eat the biscuits and don't.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And anything else that any of us can imagine, you know, whatever we imagine that's going to create some sort of neutralization and breakthrough of that freedom of our attachment to probably one of the biggest 3D weapons that exists.
It is. It is used
It's humanity.
totally
Yeah.
as a weapon of mass control, isn't it? And then prices go up, and I don't think there's any need for the prices to be rising in the way they are, other than big corporations creaming off more and more profits. So we as a population are being shocked in a sense for and it is just time for us to redress that balance and start to really step into the power. And the power is also in the earth. This is my experience, that the earth is holding this energy for us, because it's the, you know, the microcosmic orbit you talked about, setting up in yourself and then with a partner, possibly. We can set that up with the earth and with the sun and with ourselves, that same microcosmic orbit, and then you're in flow. But the earth energy, I think, is really important for manifestation, because everything physical comes from the earth. And I think if we include that and ground that and draw on those extraordinary reservoirs of energy, and again, it looks to me like golden flow, like lava. You know, it's that sort of beautiful, rich, raw power that is available to us.
We've got a question, David, and I'm sorry it's for me, but Jonathan, thank you, Jonathan, has said, Morgan, could you please say more about the masculine merging into the feminine? I've been meeting such intense fear of the void and how this affects men. Gosh, that's a big question, isn't it? Why don't you try to answer that, David? You have a go. You probably understand that.
But I don't do things in the way that you do. So I don't have many of those experiences of it being masculine, feminine, and I'm not. But I think, again, it could be that you spend a bit of time rescripting your relationship with your opposite sex, with the masculine, feminine, because we all feel wounded by that. You know, you could go back and rescript your relationship with your mother, your father, whatever, and do the merging with yourself, with your own. So it's, you know, I think often we automatically think, oh, I've got to do this with a partner and it's going to be, you know, it's got to be amazing or something. You're just doing it with yourself. Have fun with it. Take the pressure off it. And just, because there's this, wherever you start at, however it goes the first time you try this, it'll be very different in 2 days' time, and 2 days after that, and 2 days after that. It will move so quickly because all your soul wants you to do is start playing and having fun and creating, and things will shift very quickly. So look at the language you've already used there and set up a field of anxiety and tension and fear around the whole thing, and rescript that. Use Morgan's technique for rescripting it, and and try it within you. I mean, I used to have experiences of when I would be in a workshop and this sort of thing would be happening. It would always be, I would be at a wedding, I'd be watching a wedding of the masculine and feminine and that sort of thing. So you could try a simple technique like that, like invite your inner male and inner female to their own wedding and see what happens, see what plays out. And do it again in 2 days' time and do it again in 3 days' time and see where you're at, because things will move very quickly, but it just doesn't have to be something huge. And the trust also that there are already dimensions of you where this is happening, that it's already in play. It's not something that you're responsible for. It's like yesterday with you in your small group, Morgan, I had the experience of seeing all of those dimensions of me where it's already happening. And that was by far the bigger field. But the little personality, the little boy of me who watched his mother and father knock shit out of each other, he believed that he had to his job was to keep the masculine and feminine apart. And he failed miserably and so felt like a complete failure. He couldn't protect his mother, whatever. And I was surprised that there was still a part of me believing that and holding a field of separation. So I could see the fields where the masculine and feminine of me were merged, but the little boy, an aspect of me, was still holding that separate in the personality field, because that's what he thought his job was. And that fell apart yesterday. So that was a huge thing for me, that will make a difference, because that allows it from those higher dimensions into the personality field, in a sense. Does that make sense? I'm just rambling now, I think, aren't I?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's such an expansive thing to do. And I think, I understand where Jonathan's coming from, because I had many, many years I didn't want to know about any masculine energy inside of me, unless it was invited, of course. But if I was Jonathan, I would start softly and gently, and before I went to sleep at night, say, I'm open to meeting my own feminine essence. I'm open to allowing that to speak to me, show itself to me, show me how it works in my field, because it is actually already there. It's already there for all of us. We've only just got fears or blocks or whatever, or beliefs in separation that haven't allowed that to happen. But I'll start softly and gently and just start asking, setting the intention. If I was a female, what would I look like? How would I think? How would I feel? What would the world look like through these feminine eyes? What sort of emotions would I have? Just starting making some inquiries. If you're going to do it by yourself, this is a gentle, soft way to do it. I think that would help with the intense fear of that void. And how does it affect men? Every man that I know that is allowing this feminine essence to come in a little bit more, a little bit more and a little bit more, they are softening. They're becoming more vulnerable. They're returning to innocence and purity, which is very attractive to women. And I think this is why women love gay men so much, because gay men have both of those essences. But it's coming out of the patriarchal and back into our innocence. And I remember staying with some friends for a while, and the wife, my friend, went away, and the husband was left there by himself. And she's a big, big talker. So I just thought, I'm just going to stay away from him and give him a break for a week. He's probably going to love this peace and quiet. He'll be so happy, and in his head the whole time. After about 3 days, I walked out to the kitchen to make a cup of tea, and he walked out and he teared up. And I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "I just miss her so much." He said, I don't get to see the world through her eyes while she's not here.
No.
And so, isn't that just beautiful? Like he really could see the fullness of the world through all her chatter. Here's me thinking, oh God, that poor man, she's talking his head off. But she was sharing her view of the world with him, which was a totally different view from his. So from what I'm seeing, this allowing the feminine to come in and merge with our masculine, or vice, my masculine to merge with my feminine, For the women, it feels like I feel supported. I feel like someone's got my back. I feel like I've got confidence and courage to do anything and everything that I want now. And what I'm seeing in the men is it is softening them. They're a little bit more open to communication or hearing about feeling stuff that they've had no tolerance for at all. It's really worth doing. But if you're going to do it by yourself, I would highly recommend just setting the intention of I'd really like to become aware of my feminine energy, whether it's through dreams or thoughts or visions or however it is.
And
That would be my
I think it's important to recognize that there are already dimensions of you where it's happened, where
absolutely,
masculine, so it's not like you're starting from scratch and having to build. So you can invite those parts of you, those dimensions where it's already happened. Just invite them forward, invite them to show you how, and have fun with it, and allow it to shift and change. So if you've had one experience with it in your meditations or in your dreams or whatever, allow it to be different the next time, because it probably will be. Things are moving so quickly. So yeah, and recognize that.
I always think, if a man's trying to conjure up, like, what does my feminine look like? That that looks like it's that character that looked like not Roger Rabbit, that lady in red,
Jessica Rabbit. Jessica Rabbit.
Jessica Rabbit. Like, don't be trying to pull up a Jessica Rabbit.
Don't look like a drag queen. Don't look like a drag queen, Jonathan. No.
Don't look like a drag queen, no. For me, when it first came in for me, it came in as a little boy. It came in as a little boy, so I had no resistance to it. I mean, it was so innocent and so beautiful. And then I was watching over months, this little boy then was a 12-year-old, and then he was a 17-year-old, and then he was a 21. I've been watching him grow up with me. And now I feel like, I feel like he just surrounds me. I feel like, the whole outer part of my field is, I'm held by really powerful, strong, divine masculine essence.
And so you said that allows you to feel as if the masculine has your back. This aspect of you is backing you up, in effect, yeah. And does that, because one of the traits that we attribute to the masculine is taking action in the world. Do you think that's helped that?
Absolutely, because I think as a woman, I think the majority of women, I could be wrong, but I think a lot of us women have never felt safe, secure, stable. We've looked for these men, to help make that happen, but we didn't have it in ourselves. So, how can it really truly happen out of it? When this gets activated within, and, my little boy growing up to a man, I was finding every few days I felt a bit more stable or strong or secure or courageous or safe. Like something had my back that I'd never felt before. So,
and you had that experience of jumping on a plane, didn't you, and traveling the world then, which is extraordinary.
No, I had that experience after doing zero pointing. This merging of the masculine feminine has really only happened in the last couple of months, and it's been I think about 3 or 4 months ago, the little boy came in, and over this 3 or 4 months, as the work that I've been doing, I've been watching this little boy grow up, and he is full-blown man now. I just got to remember that he's there. If I wobble and come back to him, back to my own center, I'm back in faith. I'm back in everything's perfect.
It's interesting, isn't
so
it?
I wonder what when the feminine's fully merged with the masculine, will he stop eating biscuits on the couch? How will it affect the men? What is it that the feminine essence offers to you, David?
I'm always aware that I have had a very easy access to my emotional range. Once I'd got over because I spent a long time as a child deciding I wasn't going to feel anything because I lived in a very chaotic, very brutal environment. So I didn't want to feel. So I really put a lot of effort into not feeling and was very good at that until I fell in love for the first time and took drugs. And it was taking, and to be honest, taking acid and falling in love, which went hand in hand, sort of cracked me open, cracked the very hard shell that I had created, that I thought I was so clever and cool, and I was just ridiculous, really. And so I have a very, very broad range of my emotional field, and I think a lot of men don't particularly. That's certainly one of the things that will open up, is a much greater capacity to feel emotion, rather than often the very limited range of emotions that men allow themselves to feel, but also a greater capacity to express from that place, what it is men are feeling and what it is men are recognizing they need. Because a lot of people, if you're divorced from your feelings, you don't actually know what you need until you can feel that need within you. A lot of men think that they're only here to work and provide, and that all of these things are shifting and softening and changing quite dramatically. But it's like allowing a much broader range of experience rather than, gym, pub, work. It's like having a much fuller range of experience. And then the emotional range, as that opens up, it also helps give access to other levels, multidimensional sensitivity. I don't like the word psychic anymore because it seems silly, but it's just opening up that full range of sensitivity, which is very much a part of the feminine aspect, I think, in a sense.
Intuition.
Yeah.
The intuition gets ignited because the feminine has been ignited.
Yeah.
Intuition, understanding, compassion, all of those things that I think are the feminine essences. When a man's activated all that within himself, he is a deeper person, a far more expanded
I think, but it's
person.
the same for all of us. It just makes you a more rounded human being, because literally more dimensions and aspects and avenues in your energy field are opened and flowing. So you just have more space in your field to explore your own potential, and that's gorgeous, And we are all of this, the masculine, feminine polarities are the two currents of creation, and they're present in everything. And I love looking at the big lines of energy in the earth, and they roll around each other. So there's a masculine current and a feminine current, and they roll around each other across a landscape. And where they meet and cross over, there's a point of fertilization, which we recognize as a power point. And often our ancestors built a temple there, or a stone circle, or they meet at a particularly beautiful point on a hill or something like that. And so it's demonstrated in the landscape, these masculine, feminine energies rolling around each other across the countryside. And where they cross over, there's this huge opening, this huge merging of energy that is a point of fertilization. And then you get the solstice or the equinoxes and the energy of the sun coming in. And often these places in the landscape are designed to hold, like a chalice, to hold like the lock and key, literally the masculine energy of the sun coming into the feminine energy of the earth, and it beams its way down a tunnel at a point that only happens on the solstice or the equinox or something like that. And there you get that fertilization. And it's so the whole landscape then is bathed in those energies of the masculine and feminine. And it's the same for us.
creation. It's
Yeah.
creation itself, isn't it? You know, these two parts coming together, it gives us access to the greatest parts of ourselves. Do you write poetry?
It's funny, isn't it? Because I did used to, and I haven't for years. And I look at your, and there's a poem you wrote the other day, but I thought, oh, that's so beautiful. And it really, I was like, I really should write. And then somebody wrote a poem yesterday, and she said, this is inspired by what I posted on Facebook yesterday. She's written this beautiful little poem about what I put up, the post I put up. And it was like, oh, isn't that, and it's like, oh, I should write poetry, but I haven't. I'll try in Wales. I'll go home to Wales, which is reputedly the land of the bards, poetry bards, and well, yeah, I'll consider writing a poem.
Don't be coming back with one of those, you know, the boy, the burning deck or anything like that. I'm talking about something like nice and deep.
You mean not sleazy limericks, yeah?
Yeah.
A proper poem. Yeah, I have been feeling for a while that I should open that up again because I haven't. But even talking about it makes me nervous. It's strange, isn't it? So it's or not nervous. It makes me feel shy, even just talking about it. So I know that that's a signal then of, oh, there's something there that does want to express that I feel a little vulnerable around. You know, it's that, you know, because I love you write poems, and your flow with writing is so well, it's so full on, isn't it? It's amazing because you post an awful lot. Is Facebook the only place you post?
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't used to. If you go scroll back, I would write maybe once a month, maybe twice a month. But it's like I'm starting to get embarrassed with like how much is happening and how often I'm writing. It's just like, oh my God. Yeah, I'm writing a lot because it's for me, it's like a cluster of collective programs being broken down to achieve this thing this week. I don't know how else to explain it. Clusters. Oh, yes, I do. So once I cleared faith, once I cleared faith, then the next thing that I became aware of, the next day I had to activate my own personal sexual power. The following day I had to go through and look at, I was asked to look at the things that are preventing me from being fully present with myself. And then today, the fourth day, I'm being asked to look at the programs that I've got active that are still energy leakages for me. So, I don't know what the end result is yet, but I can see how they're all tied in to creation, I guess, becoming the conscious creator, more so the conscious creator.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. And we do have to, this thing of energetic housekeeping, and it's part of accountability and responsibility, but really being aware of what are the activities I engage in that where I lose energy. And it's like I used to love just sitting down in the evening and watching television. And I couldn't, it's not like I could watch any old crap, but I used to like getting involved in a series or something. And I can't do that in the same way anymore. The stuff that used to really entertain me, it just like, it just really doesn't grab me. And sometimes I would love there to be a film or something that really entertained me, but the entertainment, in a sense, and if you look at the entertainment industry, it's about losing yourself, in a sense, and being entertained by something outside of yourself. And there's nothing, we all love a good story, but with a book, if you're reading a book, you're engaged in the entertainment because you're creating the pictures. If we're watching a movie, the pictures are created for us and they're fed to us, and it's a very different experience. I still love a good movie, but I can't give myself to that in the way that I used to, because it just doesn't do it for me. And I think this is the same with conversation. I can't engage in the chit chat and that sort of thing that I used to, because it doesn't, you can feel that it's actually quite draining to give time to that. I'd rather sit in silence or, talk to a tree than engage in that sort of thing, if you know what I mean,
Definitely.
Yeah. Were there any other questions? Because I haven't got Facebook open. Anything else that we could, or did Jonathan have a comeback for us?
He did. He said, "Thank you. That is kind of what has been happening. I'm beginning to understand the rescripting, but it is definitely an inside job, and it's very clear now how much difficulty projecting has caused." Yeah.
And maybe do
Um,
Morgan's thing on Sunday, then the rescripting event on Sunday that we'll put the link for underneath. Yeah.
Valerie Baker is currently lying on her sofa eating sweet biscuits.
Perfect. Huh?
Well,
Morgan's got an amazing thing on sugar. If for anybody,
yeah.
not that I'm saying, Valerie, that you need to do this at all, but we've all, I mean, like Morgan had a thing for sugar. Me certainly, was just another facet of my addiction. And carbohydrates, heavy duty carbohydrates take me into a very different mental space in a sense, and they act like a cushioning to the world. And you take those out, and you're much more sensitive. And it is literally like walking around with it wrapped in a wrapped in cotton wool. I think heavy duty carbs, they really do act like I mean, not only with a layer of fat in your body, which does the same, but it's in your field as well. And so not doing that, and I've not been doing heavy duty carbs and bread and stuff for 5 weeks now.
Not only that, but there's also like sugar creates a morphic field. It creates a morphic field that feeds off everybody that's addicted to sugar. So you become part of this energy cluster. I did that on the 1st of June. I did that sugar session. I think 75 people turned up. And we did it, and it was amazing, because we do some shares afterwards, and a lot of the people, women predominantly, came out of that and said, "Oh my God, my addiction to sugar started the moment that I was put on formula. Formula was filled with sugar. Once I was taking off breast milk, so it became a comfort food." And I'm saying this because I've really noticed in the last 2 weeks, I didn't have a speck of sugar from the 1st of June. I had no cravings or headache. There was nothing. I did the group, and it was done. It was gone. In the last 2 weeks, do you know what Tim Tams are?
No.
Tim Tams are a chocolate coated biscuit. Like, it's a biscuit, but it's got a coating of chocolate over it. And here, and I've never done it, but there's a thing that they do. There's a thing that they do with Tim Tams. You bite one end and a little hole on the other end, and you put it in your tea or your coffee, and you suck it up. Anyway, I bought a packet of Tim Tams in the last couple of weeks, and I've been having like half a Tim Tam one day. At first, I'm like, "Oh, I can't stand this. It's horrible." But that's what's made me aware that we're really down in the root and sacral cleaning up, because six months it's been since I've had sugar, and I've really craved that sort of thing in the last couple of weeks.
I'm intrigued by what you said about the morphic field of sugar that you link into it, because it's the same with dating apps. And the gay one, Grindr. I don't go on to Grindr, and I've had one hookup on Grindr 12 years ago. But when I would look at Grindr, which isn't a dating app, it's a hookup app. It's an app basically for sex, right? And there's a bit of dating, but it's more about sex. I would feel the whole field of Grindr. So you might have your specific requests of the sort, but some of it gets really sort of a lot of drugs, could be quite dark, and you're in that whole field. And it's
Yeah.
whatever
And it's
activity we choose to participate in, you're participating in the whole field of that activity and all that's got.
absolutely. And you're
And
now a part of the
yeah,
entity of it.
yeah.
But you can use it in reverse too. Like when I wanted to learn, I don't know, what was it?
Those healing modalities
Something.
you learned years ago.
Healing modalities. That's right. I wanted a healing modality and I wanted something different and faster for me. So I asked to be taken to a morphic field of the most powerful healing modality for me, and I was taken to it. And it was something that I'd never heard of and I've never seen anywhere else. So, you think about all the medicinal stuff, all the doctors and everything that they develop, then energetically becomes a morphic field of medicinal information.
Yeah.
So there's same with sugar, alcohol, nicotine. Anytime that I'm working with somebody that wants to clear an addiction, the first thing I do is take them to the morphic field of it so they can extract themselves. That's why when we give something up, we're still craving it, not just from our own internal cravings, but there's this morphic field that's trying to draw us back in because it was feeding from us. It's like a massive big Nephilim, entity type thing. But
And field
yeah,
dynamics are something again that have always fascinated me. And when I do a teleconference, we build a field of energy. It's the same on your group calls. You build a field that is a really strong container for the experience. And that really helps to amplify the experience, I think. But it also holds it for the planet. So I'm aware that we can gift the energy of the field back to the collective and say, here, try. And it acts like energetic homeopathy in a sense. It becomes an upload for the field, for the collective field. So yeah, listen,
absolutely.
I'm looking at time. I'm needing to make a move fairly soon because I've got a long drive. But what were you just about to?
I was just about to say, Michelle Kidd just said, and what about Facebook as well? The collective field of that, the morphic field of that. All right, so okay, we're going to do a quick meditation before you go. We don't have to. We don't need to.
Oh, is it my turn? Is it my
I think it's my turn. This
your
is
turn?
number
Great,
4.
lovely, beautiful, perfect. Your
And
turn.
because of what we've been talking about, I thought we'd do a quick, having a look at our feminine and masculine to seeing where
Beautiful,
they're at.
beautiful, beautiful.
All right. So are you driving to Wales yourself?
Yeah, it'll be about 7 hours, which is a long drive for us in this country. We've had this conversation before. I think in Australia and the States, you have much, much bigger distances. So it's not, but 7 hours. Me and Rafi, the dog, so we have to stop and have a couple of walks on the way for him to stretch his legs and have a pee. Me have a pee too. But yeah, I'll be there for a week or so. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Then
Lovely.
the following weekend, I'm going to London. I'm going to see the ABBA show in London because when I was a kid, they were at the peak of their. They were in the charts. It was the 70s, and I just I loved this group. And there was something about the sound, the quality of their music that cut through my depression, and it sounds silly, but I think they really, there was something about, there's a piercing nature to the quality of their music that cut through some of the density, and it really, really helped me. So they have a very, they meant a lot to me. So I'm looking forward to going to see this show. So anyway, that'll be
Lovely.
the following weekend up in London.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Sounds wonderful.
If I get dressed up,
Yep.
my niece wants me to get dressed up because she's coming as well. And if I do, I'll post a photograph.
Like a little tight suit. You better lay off those biscuits then.
I'm not eating the biscuits. It's you that's eating the biscuits, Moo.
Oh, yeah, true. It's midnight tonight. I'm going to go and put the last few in the bin. Yeah, I'd love to see a photo of you in a little white tight suit. I think that would be really cute.
If like Muriel's wedding, huh?
Yeah, that dance queen. I love it. So from me, that was Michelle Kidd. That was very good. Okay, let's do this. So just a quick 5-minute meditation. Right, so if you'd like to close your eyes and get comfortable and just take a few deep breaths. And just allowing that oxygen as it moves through your body to become liquid gold and coating every cell of your being. And inviting to come out before you your own gender, light body, and now inviting your opposite gender, light body sort of essence to come before you, and just having a look at the two of them there together. And just one at a time, asking each essence if there's anything that might be beneficial for you to know about. And just having a look at the dynamics between them. If you invited them to come together, what would that look like? With these two parts merging as one. And can we invite their hearts to merge and actually become one? And is it possible to invite their sacral areas, the yoni of the light body of the feminine and the lingam of the light body of the masculine, to merge together as one? With these two frequencies now merged as one, and as this unified light body, I wonder if we can take that a little bit further and invite the throat chakras to become one as well, a unified field. Energy center that operates as one voice, one heart, one sacral. allowing this activated essence to come back in, to settle itself into the field where it belongs. Just a few breaths to breathe this in to your being. And it is done.
Thank you, Morgan. That was beautiful. Really beautiful.
Thank you, Doug. Travel well to Wales, you and Rafi, and have fun and write a poem. You can read it out next week.
And maybe we'll talk over the next couple of days, yeah, if that's all right. Lovely
Absolutely.
to have a conversation with you. I've really enjoyed today, and let's do it again next week, huh?
Okay, I'll see you then.
And
Thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank
Yeah,
you so
thank
much for
you.
coming to
And if
be
you're
with us.
interested in Morgan's event on Sunday, we'll put the link for that underneath. Yeah. Lots of love to you all. Take care. Bye-bye.